images and sound recordings for webcasting or training purposes. Secondly, your video and mic should be switched off until I call upon you to speak. May I remind councillors that if you wish to speak, please use the raise hand button, because there's a lot of people here and I need to better see if anybody wants to speak. I don't know why outside people are wanting to speak now, because it's not your turn to speak. So can you put your hands down, please? James, thank you. Okay. So I'd like to move on to item 1, which is to receive apologies for absence. Dennis, are there any apologies?
I've received no apologies for absence, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I think I can see we're all here. That's good.
Mr. Chairman, before we continue, could I ask that we reprioritise the agenda to bring agenda item 16 forward to the beginning, being that we've had an empty seat for a significant amount of time, and I think it would be useful to have that seat in place for the meeting. Thank you.
Who's that speaking?
James Morgan Yates.
James, the councillor cannot sit at this council meeting this evening because they're not, whilst they may be co-opted tonight, they are not a councillor until they sign the book. So until that person is co-opted, they then have to sign the declaration to the clerk or in front of the clerk before they actually officially become a councillor. I hope that's clear to you.
Okay, yeah, that's my misunderstanding. But is it still possible to pull the agenda item forward for those people that have joined the meeting just for that?
No, we have an agenda item. That's what the agenda item is, and we follow the agenda. Thank you very much. So item 2, we move on to declarations of interest. To receive declarations of interest relating to committee meetings as set out at Appendix A. Are there any other declarations of interest for this meeting?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Item 3, to confirm the minutes of the council meeting held on Monday the 13th of July 2020, which have been previously circulated. Are they agreed?
Agreed. Agreed.
Thank you very much.
Agreed.
Thank you. I have 2 announcements to make. One is that over the last, I think 3 or 4 days, we've seen a number of barriers and bollards turn up around top of Shorefield, Wharf Road area. I understand that this is actually SGN, the gas maintenance people, getting ready to undertake emergency works. Bear in mind it came in, they were certainly there Thursday last week. I'm not too sure how quick that's going to be. Obviously they're making sure that no one parks in those particular areas so they can actually work. But that's what they're there for. The parish will be writing to SGN asking exactly when they're going to undertake the work, because obviously severely restricting parking in that area. And secondly, so could people turn their microphones off, please? Certain noises are going to be interfering with the meeting. Thank you so much.
Is that me?
No, a number of people they've got their microphones on. And secondly, we've received a number of contacts regarding overgrown hedges, which are hindering people walking on pavements, and that they've asked the parish council to cut them back. Unfortunately, the parish council cannot cut back private hedges overhanging pavements. This has to be reported to Surrey County Council. They have a specific online reporting system. These can be reported, and then I understand Surrey County Council will write to they'll inspect it, they'll write to the owner of the house asking them to cut the hedge back, and if they don't cut it back, Surrey County Council then have the right to cut it themselves, and they would then charge the house owner for that privilege, and it doesn't come cheap, so it's always best if the house owner does it themselves. So it's on Surrey County Council online. It's about 4 clicks and you're there. Okay, we're now moving to the adjournment section. This is to consider adjourning the meeting for a maximum period of 25 minutes to enable members of the public to raise questions. Strict rotation will be enforced, allowing only one person at a time to speak. Is that agreed? Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. So before we start this section, I want to reiterate that this is a public questions section which lasts up to 25 minutes, and it's for questions only and not for statements to be made. Only one person will be allowed a question at a time to ensure as many residents as possible can participate, and if time allows, a further question will be allowed. Anyone behaving inappropriately or continuing to speak when requested to stop will be muted for the remainder of the meeting. So, ladies and gentlemen, over to you. If you have a question, please let me have your name and your address for the records. If you can put your hand up. I've got Pat Scott wishes to ask a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I just advise, I know it's questions, but can I just tell you I've just had an email from Matt Vaness at Surrey County Council saying that the works SGN were going to carry out have all been cancelled. The message Matt Vaness has sent me is that the message did not go to the right department, and so the cones and barriers have been placed out by mistake. I will forward this on to you by email.
Right, for them to find out if it's emergency works, why it hadn't been started. But thanks for that update, Pat. Okay, does anybody else wish to ask a question? James Morgan Yates, you have a question?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Can I request that, in the interest of greater transparency, that one of the members of the council request that the vote on the co-option of a councillor be recorded, which they can ask for under section 3S of the standing orders?
It will be recorded anyway. Are you suggesting that the vote, you want the vote to be done manually? Let me explain. I'll explain what we were proposing to do when we get to that particular point. And then we can discuss that particular item then. But thank you for raising that point now. Any other questions?
Peter Corns here. I'm waving my arms, but no one's paying any attention.
Yeah, I did ask you to use the raise hand thing.
I'm waving both of them, Nigel, so
No, not you. I thought you. Never mind. There was a raise hand item on the computer. I cannot. If your video is off, I cannot see you waving your hand. So, thank you for pointing out, Peter. You wanted to ask a question.
yes. My question relates to the interaction of APC with the community with specific regard to the closure of Ash Ranges complex floor. I don't understand why there is such reluctance to actually engage with your community. And when we've asked for minutes of meetings that have taken place between the DIO and APC, we've been told there are no minutes.
That's correct. Apart from the meeting that James Morgan Yates attended, the first one, there have been no minutes taken at that meeting, of those meetings. So there's nothing to actually pass out.
But that doesn't show any transparency in your actions at all. It's very. I can't believe that Ash Parish Council have meetings of an important subject like this and do not bother to take minutes.
Not the question. We don't take minutes. We take notes, but they're not minutes of a particular action, because we are invited along by the MOD and DIO to discuss the Ash Ranges, and anything there is to report, we report via the Parish Council website. It has been like walking through sticky toffee, but we're getting there slowly. But that's a fact.
So,
in terms of your questions, Peter, do I need to mute you?
No, I'm just saying, your consultation with the community, are you attending the meeting on Wednesday?
I am, as I've already told you and your colleagues.
Well,
any more questions?
That's it, thank you.
Any more questions? Carl Cookson.
Just a point of order there, Chairman. I asked for your confirmation last week and I haven't received it. If you are planning, I've also asked the councillors to nominate a representative to do a 5-minute talk at that meeting. So that would be appropriate as well.
When we had our first email exchange, I did advise you that I would be attending. The last thing I saw from you was a 2-minute presentation. It's now gone up to 5 minutes. So I will be attending the meeting and I will make whatever statement I can on what's occurred so far. The Parish Council did issue a press statement last week on where we were so far. There's not much more to add really on that at the moment. So that's where we are. Paul Spooner.
Okay.
Paul Spooner.
Thank you very much, Parish Chairman. My question actually relates to how the decision-making process runs in Ash Parish Council. And it's great that you're getting out and you're attending meetings, etc. But on what mandate? So are you effectively in consultation with the other parish councillors to agree who represents X, Y, or Z? Because over the years that I was a parish councillor, we had discussions and it was formally minuted as to who was responsible for attending and representing at different meetings and bodies. Has that now changed, or am I missing something? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The meetings with the MOD and DIO are not outside bodies because we don't actually give them any money and therefore we're not entitled to be part of their group. The council, all councillors are aware of the meetings that are going on with DIO, which Joe Randall and myself are representing Ash Parish Council, and we report back to them on a regular basis what is actually happening. When we are able to report anything, we put that onto the website. Obviously, things are still moving. Michael Gove is continuing to work with the Secretary of State for Defence about this particular question, and I understand there's a meeting tomorrow going on between Michael Gove and Jeremy Quinn. So I'm hoping that perhaps further progress will be made, and that may well be made clear to us on Wednesday at the meeting, which I understand Michael Gove is attending. So if there are formal meetings, yes, we do appoint members to groups if we are asked to do so. This is not a group, this is an informal meeting of MOD, DIO and Landmark, their engineering arm, to discuss, to make the point that what they did without consultation was not helpful to anybody, and that as a parish council we want the best access possible for residents to the Ash Ranges, and that's what we're still seeking to achieve on a regular basis. I've got no more hands up, so you've had Peter, yes? You have to unmute yourself, Peter. I can't lip read. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Yeah. I've got a number of messages coming through from people who are unable to join this meeting. They keep being told that we know you're outside of the lobby, someone will come and see you. So I'm not too sure if you've got a problem with the system that you're running and asking people to come to an open meeting, but many can't seem to actually arrive here.
There is no one shown on my computer as waiting outside. Wow. People have joined since this meeting started. I've seen a number of people. Reverend Neil was there and a number of others. I've got no one actually waiting to join.
Okay.
Not too sure what the issue is.
No, nor do I. I'm just passing on the message. You know, I've got a number of people saying exactly the same thing, showing me screenshots they can't get through. So.
Okay, thanks very much for that. I don't know what the problem is because obviously there are a lot of people in, and I'm not aware there's any restriction on the number of people joining.
Okay.
Mr. Khan?
Yeah, I've also heard from members of the coronavirus support group that they haven't been able to access the meeting as well. So there definitely appears to be a problem with accessing the meeting. And I'd also just like to make the point that it does really feel like there's a real lack of transparency here. It seems like you're using any way possible to avoid being transparent with members of the public.
Contrary, we try and be as transparent as possible. We have to respect people's privacy, and if things are discussed and we're asked not to divulge it at that particular moment while things go on. That's not just with the MOD, with anything else we do have confidential conversations with people. We will not breach confidences. We will always try and be as open as possible with the residents as we can. That's what it's all about. James Morgan Yates.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I believe the issue people might be having is with the link on the website. If you click the link on the website, it doesn't work, but if you select the entire link and paste it into the browser, it does. And I believe that's the issue people might be having.
Okay, thank you for that. It's just it's never been a problem before, so I'm not too sure what's happened today.
Well, I can tell you it is because I'm in IT and I looked at it, and if you click the link, it doesn't work. I suffered the same problem myself and thought about pasting the link, which then worked.
Okay, we'll have to obviously look at that. I thought that had all been set up because we have tested it several weeks ago to make sure it all worked, and it did. So I'm not too sure what's happened. We actually set up the computers with an external computer in order to check to make sure the links and everything work. So I'm not too sure what's happened now. We have tried our best to make sure that everything is set up to allow as many people as possible to come in. I can only apologise to those people who have tried to get in and can't. But certainly a number of people have actually got in. I assume using that particular link. I've got Carl Cookson.
Can you confirm that this recording and the recording of the planning meeting, which I couldn't get into earlier, will be made available?
The planning meeting is not recorded. This meeting is recorded because obviously there's a vote coming up.
The link on the website wasn't available. It wasn't working, and I tried for half an hour at that point. There's no contact methods for you to be able to access that. So can you correct any links and affix that and possibly make that session available if you have, and then obviously discussions around that, and the same with this meeting that we publish it so that anyone that can't come in can come in and have a look at it in the next few days.
We'll see what we can do after the meeting. That's what probably have an IT person to come in. I've got a Paul Gale. He's got his hand up. Paul Gale, do you want to speak? Paul, you said you wanted to speak. Do you not want to speak?
He's muted, Mr. Chairman.
He is. Paul, would you like to unmute yourself? I'm just going down the long list of people that are attending. Hello, Paul. Yes, you wanted to raise a question.
Yeah, it's Paul, Foxhurst Road. Can you tell me how many people are attending the meeting? How many people managed to get in?
According to this, I've got 15 plus and lots of others. I'll have to count. There's a lot more.
39, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
So thanks for that. Are there any more questions? Because there's a few more minutes left for questions, if there's any more. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next item. James Morgan Yates.
Sorry, me again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Agenda item 16. Will you do a roll call vote so we can see who's voted for what?
I did already say that when we come to that meeting, we'll discuss it to see what we're going to do. We were going to do voting, but using chat. But if it seemed more preferable to do a vote calling out the choice that the councillors make at the time, then that may well be the way to do it. given the problem we're having with some connectivity, that may well be the best way to do it, but we'll wait till we get to the item. But thank you very much for that. Any other questions? Okay, if we've got no other questions, we'll revert to the agenda. So thank you very much for that. We now move on to item 6, which is to receive and agree reports of committees. Can I ask Councillor Mosley to propose the planning meetings on 13th of July, 27th of July, 10th of August and 24th of August, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes.
Councillor Mosley, I think you've just muted yourself.
All right, I do apologise. I don't know how I did that. Sorry, I'll start again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to present the minutes of the Planning Committee for the meetings held on the 13th of July 2020, minute numbers 27 to 36. The planning meeting held on the 27th of July 2020, minute numbers 37 to 44. The meeting held on the 10th of August 2020, minute numbers 45 to 52. And the Planning Committee meeting held on the 24th of August, minute numbers 53 to 60. I'd like to move their reception and adoption.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mosley. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Any to the contrary?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you. We move on to item 7, as to receive and approve the monthly payments, giving details of July 2020 payments as at Appendix B and August 2020 expenditure as at Appendix C. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Now, item number 8, this is the monthly accounts, and this is to consider and agree the council's accounts. Now, the agenda says June, July and August 2020, but August hasn't yet been closed down, so we're just agreeing the accounts that have been sent round for June and July 2020. Is that agreed?
Disagreed.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Item 9 is to consider and agree the bank reconciliations, again for June and July 2020. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
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 Thank you. Item 10, this is the section regarding concurrent function grants. This is for next year's budget, but Guildford require us to send our concurrent function grant bids in this time of the year for next year. So members to consider and agree the following projects for submission to Guildford Borough Council for inclusion in the concurrent function grant scheme for 21-22. Now we have 3 items there. Street lighting phase 14, 20,000. Grant to be applied for 7,000. New CCTV and ANPR security cameras. Project cost 15,000, grant 6,000. And Harper's Recreation Ground new play equipment. Project cost 15,000. Grant applied for 6,000. There's no guarantee that we will get those grants accepted. But on the basis this is what we're going to apply for, is that agreed by councillors, or are there any comments?
Agreed. Agreed, Mr. Chairman.
Agreed.
Thank you very much on that. Moving on to item 11. This is the grant of exclusive rights in respect of burial. This is to authorise the issue of grants of exclusive rights in respect of burials as set out. I would point out on the agenda that the person whose surname is Manning is not a relative. I have no declaration to make. Is that agreed?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Item 12. This is an update to the Ash Parish Council projects list, and the projects list has been circulated. Has anybody got any comments to make on the progress made so far? Or is there a lot now that are in the green? There's only a couple that are in orange, so we're moving ahead quite well on that. So is everybody happy with that, or is there any comments?
No comment.
No, we're happy.
No comment, Mr. Chairman.
No.
Comment, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Item 13, this is new street lighting quotes. Members to consider a quote from our contractor, Prime One Maintenance, for 200 classic LED warm light lanterns at a cost of £52,000 plus 798 plus VAT. The reason why we're going for 200 as opposed to our normal 100 is that we've still got over 350 lamp posts to upgrade, some of which are concrete lamp posts, but the contractor has given us a 12% discount by ordering 200. We have got money already set aside in our earmark reserves to cover this. That's not come out of the blue. We've been putting money away ready for these events to happen. And I think the discount is actually quite good. It saved us, I think, £7,000, which is well worth having. Are there any comments from councillors? Or is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Item 14, this is the CCLA Public Sector Deposit Fund. Members to note that the clerk to the council and parish chairman have opened a public sector deposit fund account with the CCLA, as agreed at full council meeting held on the 13th of July. This account will give us far higher interest than what we were getting on our original deposits, and providing we ask for the money before 11 o'clock, it's immediate withdrawal as well. It just means we're getting a few more bangs for our bucks. So is that item noted?
Noted.
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 Thank you very much. Item 15, the Christmas and New Year 2020-21. And this is to consider the proposed closure of the offices for the Christmas and New Year period for the end of this year and beginning of next year. Is that agreed? The list has been circulated as proposed dates.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. So we now move on to item 16. And this is for members to consider the co-option of an individual to become a parish councillor following a vacancy has arisen. We have two candidates for the vacancy on Ash Parish Council. Both candidates will be given the opportunity to make a short 3-minute presentation to the councillors. The candidate not making the presentation will be excluded from the meeting so as not to give any advantage. I'm getting a bit of feedback because someone hasn't got their mic turned off. Thank you. After the presentations, each councillor will be asked to reflect on what they've heard and to consider the contents of the CVs that have previously been circulated before they are asked to vote. This is the bit we need to discuss. It was going to be that councillors will be asked to enter the name of whom they wish to co-opt in the chat box, and that the clerk of the council was then going to collate the votes. I get the feeling that it would be far better if the councillors gave a verbal decision of who they're going to vote for, and for the clerk to maintain the spreadsheet as to who's voting for who. So are councillors happy to go for the spoken vote as opposed to a vote on the chat?
Yes.
I am.
Agreed.
Yep. Go on.
Okay, thank you very much. So the clerk to the council, Dennis Wheeler, will collate the votes onto a spreadsheet, and when he has confirmed he has received all the votes, he will announce the name of the successful candidate. So what will happen is Dennis will do a roll call of all the councillors present, and they will make their vote as appropriate. So in order to see who goes first, Can I please ask Dennis to hide a coin in one of his hands and present both fists to the screen? Where are you, Dennis?
I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Right, now can we see your two fists? That's one, that's two. Okay, so we have two fists. One's got a glove and one hasn't got a glove, in order to say, because obviously looking this way, left hand to us is not left hand to Dennis. So this is to make sure we have no misunderstanding as who's calling for what. So one of the hands has a coin, one doesn't. So if the hand with the coin is chosen, that person can select whether they go first or second. And if it doesn't contain the coin, then the other candidate will decide whether they want to go first or second. So what I'd like to do is, could I ask Carla, because I know that Mr. Cole is a gentleman, as I am, and most of us are here. Could I ask Carla to choose which hand she wishes to select in order to determine which one's got the coin and select whether she goes first or second? Carla?
I'll go for the ungloved hand.
The ungloved hand. So can you now open your hand so we can see which one's which? So the ungloved hand has got the coin. Can you open the other one to show there's nothing in there? Thank you very much. So Carla, you have the choice of going first or second. What would you like to do?
I'll go second, please.
Right. So what's going to happen, because we have, certainly as you've seen tonight, issues with our IT, what we were going to do was to take one person out and put them in the lobby and then bring them back in. We can't now do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically kick Mr. Cole out of the meeting.
No, other way round.
Sorry? Oh, second. Sorry, sorry, Carla, I've got the wrong way around. We're going to ask you, Carla, to leave the meeting and then come back in, and you'll be waiting in the lobby. So when Mr. Cole has finished his presentation, we'll then invite you in. Is that okay? Do you understand? I can take you out.
If you take me out and then bring me back, that's fine.
Yeah, I think you just have to bring yourself back.
Okay.
So I'm trying to find your name at the moment. There's so many up here. I can't. Yes, so Dennis, can you remove from meeting? I'll remove from the meeting now, Carla, and hopefully you'll come back in on the link you used before. You'll be sitting at the top. Oh, gone already. Okay. So,
Mr. Chairman, can I interrupt? Hello?
Hello, who's this?
It's Bill Cole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I have a minor technical problem.
What's that?
As usual, I don't know one of this machine. I'm going to have to turn the screen off and turn it back on again because it's gone on to standby, and the only way I know how to read you, it'll only take a second. Just bear with me.
Okay. You're still there?
Right, I'm back.
Excellent. You never left the screen, so.
Yeah, my apologies.
Okay.
It's a screen I don't know very well. So,
yeah. Right. Well, thank you very much for sending in your CV. Could I now ask you to address the councillors as to why you wish to be co-opted onto the parish council, please? It will be 3 minutes, and I will be timing. So,
thank you.
Please proceed. When you're ready, the time will start.
Okay. I worked for 45 years in industrial R&D and production management. I worked with many of you at APC as a councillor for 16 years. I am retired. With age comes experience and time to help locally. I've worked hard helping Ash residents to live in a parish with good and affordable services. We held 4 public meetings every month. there was always a slot for the public to speak. In May 2019, all of you were returned unopposed. I submit the public was satisfied with what Ash Parish councillors had done. In March 2020, COVID happened to the world. Some people offered to help frail residents. Jen, my wife of 56 years, and I made protective face masks for anyone who needed them. The world is a bit calmer now. We are learning to live with COVID-19. For 18 years, I think we made being parish councillors look too easy. We must tell people more often what we are doing. I was involved with several projects making improvements to the community centre and Victoria Hall. I represented APC on several local organisations. I would like to continue my project work. 16 years. I was involved when Ash Parish Council had an extensive programme of work updating the street lighting, improving many children's play areas. This must continue. I was monitoring and checking the Parish Council's accounts monthly. The parish financial work must be done correctly. It is audited by 2 external bodies to make sure everything is done legally. I will make sure this continues. In 2015, Ash Rowan Fields was made into a separate parish ward. If I am co-opted, I will represent Ash Rowan Field ward and work hard to try to get what the residents would like in their area. Improve access to the fields, its use for recreation, and a playground area for the local kids, which it lacks at the moment. I sincerely hope we can resume parish meetings as soon as legislation permits, because I don't like this system, but there we are. I understand the Surrey clubs for young people had great plans to reopen the Ash Youth Centre. I want to do everything possible to help this to happen. I suggest we all ask all our local clubs, if they wish to give an annual written report and update their profile in the local community by inviting them to the Ash Parish annual meeting. APC are the representatives of Ash. No other group can do better. APC are independent of government organisations and other councils. APC speak for all the Ash community and therefore can make their voices heard when speaking to social services, NHS, MOD, GBC, FCC, our MPs, etc. I would like to help APC perform their civic duties by joining them as a councillor. The choice is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. So what I'm now going to do, I'm going to remove you from the meeting and ask you to rejoin as you did before. Then we'll be able to let you in due course.
Okay.
I'm now searching for Carla. Dennis, can you see Carla? Because I can't see her waiting in the lobby.
I can't see her waiting in the lobby either, Mr. Chairman.
I think what you would need to do is click the link again now to rejoin as you did before.
Now she's here. Now she's back in. She's back in. Obviously knew when to join.
I'm admitting her now, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you very much. Welcome back, Carla.
Thank you.
Timed it perfectly. So we've now heard from Mr. Cole. So perhaps we could now ask you to give your presentation to the councillors as to why you wish to become a co-opted parish councillor for Ash. Time to start when you start. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ash Vale has been my home since 1976, and I love living here. I've had a wide-ranging professional career, including being a senior HR manager and a commercial and finance manager. I've learned that a flexible approach to just about everything is necessary, and that good decision-making, no matter how quickly the decision is required, comes from fully considering the situation and looking at all of the options. For the last 6 years, I've been a volunteer advisor at Ash Citizens Advice. and more recently, I've headed the local coronavirus support group. My volunteering has shown me just how important community is, and this is why I'm applying to be co-opted onto Ash Parish Council to represent Ash Rowan Field Ward. Coronavirus and its terrible effects were not something any of us anticipated. Many lives were devastated, and what we considered normal is no more. Both businesses and livelihoods continue to suffer. Despite this, our community has risen to the challenge and pulled together, which in my view is making it a much more supportive, a pleasant and a welcoming place to live. Life has changed, and I want to play my part in not only retaining what we've already achieved, but also making things even better. There's no doubt that we'll have to make more adjustments and changes, and to do this, we need parish councillors who will engage with residents. We can't assume that the interests of residents are being represented if they aren't consulted. Our community has grown and become much more diverse. We need to take this into account. Our services need to be sustainable and to meet the needs of all, and that goes right across the spectrum. I share the concerns of many people about the housing development springing up with no supporting infrastructure, the loss of access to Ash Ranges, no step-free access at Ashvale Station. I want to be able to influence, shape and comment on issues such as this and the future of Ash Parish. I want the quality of life for our community improved. As a parish councillor, I'd work towards this by helping local projects, lobbying other service providers and working in partnership with other parishes and local authorities. New ideas and thoughts can be nothing but good. On a final note, my political affiliation is no secret. I am, however, standing as an independent because I strongly believe there's no place for politics in parish councils. They should exist purely for the benefit of the community. Our villages and the people living in them should come above all else, and I'm happy to work with anyone. I'll always put Rowan Field and Ash Parish first. Thank you, and most of all, a thank you to all of those that have come along to support me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Carla. Thank you very much. I'm now going to invite Bill Cole back into the meeting. Okay. Yeah, back in. Okay. So we've now heard two good presentations from the candidates. I'd ask councillors to reflect for a minute or so on what they've heard and the CVs that were circulated some weeks ago. And then I'm going to ask Dennis to undertake a roll call for each councillor to make their voting intention known. So I'll just give it another 30 seconds while people have a think. Okay, Dan, would you like to unmute yourself and start doing the roll call?
This is in no particular order.
Can I suggest that I go last as chairman, as I don't want to be seen as having any undue influence on any voting intentions?
That's fine. The first councillor is Councillor John Tonks.
Thank you, Dennis. Bill Cole.
Councillor Andrew Gom.
Thank you, Dennis. Bill Cole.
Councillor Helen Gorham.
Thank you, Dennis. Bill Cole.
Councillor Tony Gorham.
Bill Cole. Can I just say, and it might not be appropriate, but we've got two very, very good candidates, and it is so good that the skills that people have and want to, impart those skills to APC. I think it's brilliant.
Thank you. Councillor Nigel Kerrs.
Bill Cole.
Councillor Marcia Mosley.
Bill Cole.
Councillor Joe Randall.
Bill Cole, but I will actually agree with the comments made by Tony Gorham. They're very, very strong candidates, both of them. Thank you.
Councillor Ed Schofield. Ed. You're muted, Ed. I can't hear you, Ed.
You're unmuted, Ed, but I can't hear you.
Clara.
Okay. I don't know why he's not there, because he's not muted at all.
Councillor Martin Burgess.
Thank you, Bill Cole.
And lastly, Councillor Nigel Manning.
Bill Cole.
So the vote is in favour of Bill Cole to be the co-opted member.
Okay, Ed's not there, but it doesn't make a difference in the voting. Can I just thank both candidates for their presentations and the CVs they sent in? Clearly shows there's a lot of knowledge and skills within the parish, just in two people. So I'm sure there's a lot more people out there as well with skills that can help the parish council proceed. So I would obviously, Councillor or Bill Cole needs to go into Ash Parish Council offices to sign the declaration before he can become a parish councillor. Can I thank Carla for participating in the co-option process? Obviously, there is another vacancy that has arisen, which is being advertised at the present time. The cut-off date is the 2nd of October, and depending what residents decide, there'd either be another co-option process, or there'll be an election sometime in May 2021, subject to any adjustments from the emergency COVID procedures. So, did you want to? I see your hand up, Carla. We wouldn't normally take questions, but if you want to come back on something.
I would just like to congratulate Bill Cole.
It's very kind of you.
Thank you very much, Carla. And apparently, Jen just looked at your mask and she doesn't like the look of it, so we'll give you one if you like, a proper mask, one of ours.
I think that was totally uncalled for.
No, I'm being joking, but
I'm
you wouldn't.
sorry, but that was not a joke.
Sorry?
I'm sorry, but that was not a joke.
I agree. I think that's disgusting behaviour.
Yes, thank you very much. It's going so well. Okay, so that's the end of that particular process. We'll now move on to the next item, which is correspondence. Is there any correspondence, Dennis?
I have no correspondence, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next meeting is on Monday, the 12th of October at 7 o'clock, or following the close of the planning committee if this is later. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Good night, everybody. Have a good evening. Thanks everyone for attending.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mr. Chairman, good evening.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Disgusting what Bill said. Uncalled for.
Just shows the quality of a lot of people on the council at the moment. And bringing on back a dinosaur doesn't help very much.
I trust that that part of the recording will not be edited out and that will live in perpetuity to shame the person who made that comment. Utterly appalling. I've never had anything like it in a public meeting in my life.
Roll on the election.
Al, you and I don't agree politically on many things, but that was.
Sorry, I can't quite hear who's speaking.